All right, so you're getting ready for a music instructor interview at a specialized school or conservatory, huh?
Yeah.
We're going to dive into RoleCatcher's resources and help you just totally nail this thing. Think of this deep dive like your practice session before the big game.
Exactly, yeah. We've got RoleCatcher's Career Guide and Interview Guide, and we'll even take a peek at their AI. We're your coaches, basically, here to make sure you really shine in that interview.
Okay, so before we jump into practicing the interview questions, can we set the stage a little bit?
Yeah.
What exactly does a music instructor at this level do? I mean, it's got to be more than just teaching scales and songs, right?
Oh, for sure. Way more. It's a much bigger role than that. RoleCatcher's Career Guide really paints a picture of a multifaceted role. It's almost like you're a musical mentor. You're not just teaching them to play or sing, you're guiding them to actually like understand the language and theory behind it all.
So it's like teaching the whole symphony instead of just individual notes.
Exactly. You'll be leading them through instrumental lessons, vocal training, music theory, history, even technology. But it's more than that. There are those individual student sessions where you're working through challenges with them and helping them discover their own unique musical voice. It's pretty cool.
That makes sense. So for you, the listener, this means showing them not just your teaching skills, but your ability to really nurture that deep understanding and appreciation of music. Okay, so let's warm up with a common question they love to ask right at the beginning. How did you become interested in teaching music? So how do we avoid that generic "I love music" answer and really stand out here?
This is your chance to share your musical origin story.
Yeah.
What was that spark that got you into music? Was it a specific mentor? Was it a performance that totally changed your life? Or even, just one piece of music that really resonated with you? RoleCatcher suggests really tapping into that emotional core of what was that aha moment that made you so passionate about sharing music with others?
Yeah, it's like that moment when a song just speaks to you and you have to share it with the world.
Exactly. And, they might follow up by asking about your musical influences or your teaching philosophy. Be prepared to talk about composers that inspire you, genres that you connect with, and how those things have shaped your approach to teaching.
Okay, makes sense. So let's move on. How do you plan and prepare for your music lessons? I mean, it sounds pretty straightforward, but I feel like there's actually a lot to unpack here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. You're not just presenting a lesson plan, right? You're showing them that you can create really engaging and effective learning experiences. And RoleCatcher really highlights tailoring your approach to each individual student's needs and interests. So, think about different learning styles, musical preferences, even those aha moments you want to create for them.
So it's almost like you're composing a piece of music, right?
Yeah.
You need the structure, the score, but also room for improvisation and individual expression.
Exactly. And be ready to discuss your assessment strategies, how you give feedback, and how you make sure it's a holistic learning experience. That's where RoleCatcher's AI can actually be really helpful.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, so their AI can analyze the specific job description, and it can pick up on, keywords and phrases about lesson planning and assessment, and then it'll even suggest ways you can, tailor your answers to what that school's specific needs are. It's kind of like having a personalized music editor who's helping you, perfect your performance before the big concert.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, time to maybe face the music a little bit with this next one. How do you handle difficult or disruptive students? I mean, every classroom has its moments, right?
Totally. Every classroom does. And this is where you get to show them your classroom management skills. RoleCatcher really stresses that balance of discipline with a supportive, inclusive learning environment. Remember, it's not about punishment. It's about understanding, why they're being disruptive in the first place. Are they
Yeah.
bored, frustrated? Maybe they're struggling with the material.
Yeah, it's almost like tuning an instrument. You need to figure out the right adjustments to make to get the best sound.
Exactly. Be ready to talk about your strategies for redirecting their behavior, how you communicate with students and their parents, and how you create, a safe and respectful space for everyone.
No, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, or maybe I should say the synthesizer on the stage. How do you incorporate technology into your music classes?
Yeah, the digital age of music. This is where you get to show that you're not just tech savvy, but that you see technology as a way to make your teaching and their learning even better.
Okay, so RoleCatcher mentions a whole digital wave that's transforming music education. What kind of tech tools should we be thinking about?
Well, think beyond just like playing music on a device,
Right.
right? Think about software for creating and editing music, online music libraries, virtual instruments, digital audio workstations. You can even talk about using technology for like assessments and giving feedback.
It's like having a whole orchestra of digital tools at your fingertips.
Exactly. And technology is always changing, so showing that you're willing to explore new tools and stay up to date will really impress them. This might also be a good time to mention how RoleCatcher's AI can help you research industry trends and like really highlight your tech skills.
Okay, good point. Now let's change gears a little and talk about inclusivity. How do you work with students who have different learning abilities and needs? This is a big one, right?
It really is super important. RoleCatcher really stresses making sure you're meeting the needs of all different learning styles. Every student learns in their own way, at their own pace.
It's like conducting an orchestra, where you need to make sure every instrument is playing beautifully, even though they might need like slightly different instructions.
Precisely. Think about visual aids, modifying instruments, adjusting tempos, differentiating your instruction. You could even talk about how you partner with support staff or are mindful of, cultural sensitivities.
Okay, let's go to how do you encourage creativity and individual expression in your music classes? This one really gets to the heart of music education, I think.
I agree. This is where you can really let your passion for, fostering artistry come through. Rollcatcher talks about that balance of structured learning, but also, encouraging freedom of expression.
So like you give them the sheet music, but encourage them to like add their own improvisations and stuff.
Exactly. Talk about how you use improvisation exercises, how you encourage students to compose their own music, explore different genres, even let them create their own instruments or arrangements.
It's about giving them the tools to create their own musical journey.
I love that. And they might even ask you about your own creative process and who inspires you, so be ready to share that.
The music world's always changing, so they're going to want to know, how do you keep up to date with current trends and developments in music education? How do we show them that we're not, like, stuck in the past musically?
This is all about showing that you're committed to lifelong learning, right? Rollcatcher suggests a mix of professional development courses, going to conferences, joining online communities of other music educators, subscribing to journals, exploring new music technology and teaching tools, all that good stuff.
It's like being a conductor who needs to stay attuned to all the latest music and trends to keep the orchestra fresh and interesting.
Absolutely. And it's not just about learning new things, it's about how you actually use what you learn in your teaching. Be ready to give them specific examples of how you've incorporated new ideas, adapted to changes in technology or, the curriculum, and just always looked for ways to keep your students engaged and inspired.
Okay, on to how do you collaborate with other music instructors, school administrators, and parents?
This is your chance to show off your orchestral management skills, so to speak. Successful music education really needs a good mix of communication, respect, and everyone being on the same page working towards the same vision. Rollcatcher makes it clear that you're not a solo act, you're part of a bigger ensemble.
It's about being a team player, showing them that you can create like a symphony of collaboration.
Exactly. So talk about your experiences working on curriculum development teams, organizing concerts and events, communicating with parents about how their kids are doing, even seeking out partnerships with, local musicians or community arts organizations.
Now we're getting to the heart of creating an inclusive music program. How do you ensure that your music program is inclusive and accessible to all L students?
Rollcatcher is a big champion of diversity and inclusion, and this question is really all about showing your commitment to those values.
It's about making sure everyone feels welcome to join the orchestra, no matter their background or what their abilities are.
Right. Think about offering a mix of different musical styles and genres, meeting different learning needs, taking away financial barriers, and being sensitive to cultural differences.
Okay, before we go any further, let's just pause for a second and talk about how amazing RoleCatcher's AI can be in this whole process.
Oh, it's incredible. It's like having a personal conductor guiding you every step of the way. So it can actually analyze the specific job description and figure out those keywords and skills they're looking for. And then it'll suggest ways for you to really tailor your answers to what that school needs. It's like fine-tuning your instrument to give the best performance possible.
So listener, think of RoleCatcher's AI as your secret weapon to really nail that interview. We're going to keep talking about all the cool stuff it can do as we move on to part 2, where we'll dive into some even tougher interview questions.
Definitely. Stay tuned. Welcome back. We're diving into part two, and we're focusing on those tricky behavioral questions they like to ask in music instructor interviews, those ones that kind of make you think on your feet.
Yeah, the ones that make you sweat a little. I'm ready for the challenge, though. Let's do it. What's up first?
Okay, let's start with, tell me about a time you had to adapt your teaching to meet the needs of a specific student. So this question is all about showing them that you're flexible and can personalize your teaching style, for different students.
It's one thing to say that you're adaptable, but it's another thing to actually show them.
Exactly. Interviewers want to hear real-life examples. So think about a time when you had a student who just wasn't getting a concept, or maybe they learned in a different way, or just needed a little extra help. Take them through the whole thing. What were the challenges? How'd you change your teaching? What happened in the end?
So almost like improvising a new melody right there on the spot to match the student's individual needs.
Yeah, perfect analogy. And be specific too. What strategies did you use? How'd you talk to the student and their parents? And what did you learn from that whole experience?
Don't forget, it's not just about finding a solution. It's showing them that you're dedicated to helping your students succeed and that you're willing to go that extra mile for them.
Okay, so next up. How do you stay motivated and enthusiastic about teaching even when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed? This question really gets at, your resilience and how passionate you are about this whole profession, even when it's tough.
It's like asking a musician, how they keep the music alive, even when, even when the stage lights are off.
Exactly. Everyone has those tough moments,
Yeah.
right? But how do you deal with them and keep that musical spark going? Think about what helps you cope. Do you practice mindfulness? Do you have a mentor or, talk to other teachers for support? Do you do something creative outside of teaching?
So basically, show them that you're in it for the long haul. Show them that you're really passionate about music education, and that a few off-key notes aren't going to stop you.
Right. And just be honest about what helps you stay positive and avoid burnout. They might even ask about, your work-life balance and your career goals. So be prepared to talk about what you want your career to look like.
All right, here comes one that maybe isn't so fun to think about. Describe a time you received negative feedback and how you handled it. I mean, nobody really likes criticism, but it's going to happen, right? No matter what you do.
True. And this question is really about showing that you're able to take constructive criticism and use it to grow. Remember, even if it's hard to hear, feedback can help you become a better teacher.
It's almost like listening back to a recording of yourself playing and trying to figure out where you can improve your technique.
Yeah, exactly. So think of a time when you got some feedback that was tough to hear. Did you get defensive, or did you really try to listen and see things from their point of view?
This is your chance to show them that you're willing to grow and that you see feedback as a chance to get better, not as a personal attack.
Right. Walk them through what happened. What was the feedback? How'd you react at first? What did you do to fix things? And most importantly, what did you learn from that whole thing?
It's about taking that negative feedback and making it into a positive learning experience. It's about becoming a better music educator.
Now let's switch gears again. Here's a question that they often ask, especially if you're interested in a leadership role. How would you approach creating and managing a budget for your music program? Now, even if you aren't applying to be, the department head, showing them that you're good with money is important.
So it's like being a conductor who not only gets the music, but gets how the orchestra actually works behind the scenes.
Exactly. They want to see that you can make smart choices with money to make sure the program is successful. So think about those necessary expenses: instruments, sheet music, software, maybe guest artists, concert production, all of that.
It's almost like you're composing a financial symphony.
Yeah.
You got to orchestrate everything to make sure it all works together.
Great analogy. So, what are the absolute must-haves? And what are some things that maybe you could cut back on or get creative with?
This is also a good time to talk about any experience you have with, fundraising or grant writing or working with people in the community. It shows them that you're proactive and good at finding resources.
Okay, let's move on to something really crucial in teaching. How do you use assessment data to inform your teaching and improve student learning?
So it's not just about grading tests and stuff. It's about taking that data and using it to make your teaching better.
Exactly. So think about the different ways you assess students. Formative assessments, summative assessments, performance-based, all of that. How do you look at that data to see what's working and what's not? Do you change your teaching strategies? Do you change things up for different students? Do you provide extra help to students who need it?
It's like using a tuner to make sure each student is playing in tune and then like making adjustments to their technique.
Right. Be prepared to share real examples of how you've used assessment data to help students learn better. This question also kind of gives you a chance to talk about how you communicate with students and parents. How do you talk to them about the results in a way that's clear and supportive?
Now, for a question that's really all about the future, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ah, yes. This is where you get to tell them about your hopes and dreams for the future and, show them how much you want this career.
It's like asking a composer, like, what symphony they want to write next.
Love it. Think about your goals for your career. Do you want to be in a leadership role someday? Do you want to go back to school or do research? Is there a special project you'd love to work on?
Be specific. Tell them the steps you're taking to reach your goals, the skills you're learning, the experiences you're looking for, all of that.
And don't forget, this also gives you a chance to show them how you fit in with the school's values and what they're trying to do. How do your goals match up with their vision for music education? How can your skills and your experiences help their program be successful?
It's about showing them that you're not just looking for any job. You're looking for a place where you can really grow and like really thrive as a music educator.
Okay, before we wrap up part two, let's go back to how awesome RoleCatcher's AI is for all this.
Yes. Tell me more about how it can help us with these behavioral questions.
So their AI can actually break down each question and figure out what skills and qualities they're trying to get at, and then it'll suggest specific things from your own experience that you can use to craft amazing answers that really impress them. It's kind of like having like a personal songwriting coach, helping you write a hit song.
So remember, listener, RoleCatcher's AI can be your secret weapon as you get ready for your interview. It'll help you create answers that really hit the right note with the people interviewing you. Okay, welcome back. We're on the last part of our music instructor interview deep dive. We've covered a lot, but before you go into that interview, let's talk about some final things that can really make a difference.
Yeah, think of this as like our encore, where we share those extra tips that can help you really stand out.
Okay, so let's talk about salary. They're going to ask you about your salary expectations. And it's kind of tricky, right? You want to make sure you're getting paid what you're worth, but you also, don't want to price yourself out of the job.
Yeah, for sure. It's like trying to figure out a fair price for a really rare instrument. You need to know how much it's worth and then be able to explain that confidently. So before you even go to the interview, do some research on, what music instructors in your area typically make. And think about things like your experience, your education, and how prestigious the school is.
And RoleCatcher's AI can be super helpful for this too. It can analyze salary trends and give you information that's specific to that job and that location. It's like having a personal agent who's, fighting to get you the best deal.
Exactly. So be ready to talk about your salary expectations in a way that's clear and confident, and make sure you highlight your skills and what you bring to the table.
Okay, so here's something that usually comes at the end of the interview, but it's still super important. When they ask, do you have any questions for us? This isn't just them being polite. It's your chance to show them that you're really interested and that you've been paying attention.
Yeah, think of it as like you get to interview them a little bit. It shows them that you're, thoughtful and that you take initiative. So have a few good questions ready to go. Ask them about things like the school's culture, the music programs, philosophy, or specific parts of the job that you're curious about.
So like you could ask about professional development opportunities or how they use technology in the classroom or even their vision for the future of the program.
Exactly. It shows them that you've done your homework and you're serious about wanting to be a part of their team.
Okay, now let's just talk about some general interview tips.
Yeah.
These are like our pre-show rituals to make sure everything goes smoothly and you feel confident.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
So, first things first, dress professionally. What you wear shows them that you respect the school and, the profession.
It's like choosing the right outfit for a concert. You want to look good and feel good when you're up on stage.
For sure. Get there early so you have time to, relax and get in the zone. And remember those nonverbal things too, like making eye contact, speaking clearly, and just projecting confidence.
It's like when you're performing, you use your body language and your energy to communicate the emotion of the music.
Exactly. And above all, just be yourself. Let your passion for music education shine through. That's way more powerful than, trying to give some perfectly rehearsed answer.
They're not just looking for someone who can, like, teach notes on a page. They're looking for someone who can inspire a love of music in their students. And you have that in you, listener.
You do. Trust yourself. Let your passion guide you. And remember that RoleCatcher has all those AI tools that can help you every step of the way.
So there you have it. Our music instructor interview deep dive. We looked at what the job is all about, went over those tough questions, and gave you some tips for, for creating a really positive interview experience.
You've got all the knowledge you need to go into that interview feeling confident and ready to shine. Remember, it's not just about hitting the right notes. It's about showing them your passion, your creativity, and how dedicated you are to helping young musicians grow.
Now go out there and make some beautiful music. And listener, we'd love to hear from you. What really resonated with you from this deep dive? What are your biggest takeaways? Keep the conversation going. Until next time, happy music making.